Thunderfoot. Another balanced and, I must say, scientific critique of a point of view of a faith that you don't happen to agree with, but I suppose we've come to expect this sort of thing from you. Far be it from me to disagree with you in a blanket emotional way, but there is a grain of truth in some of the things that you say. For example, this issue of exclusivity of Islam. This is something that I have an issue with myself. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with Muslims proselytizing in non-Muslim countries, at least in terms of their right to do so. Morally, I think the whole thing is insane and inflammatory. Proselytizing for any religion is an extremely bad idea. It seems to say that reality is decided by a show of hands, i.e. if there's more of us than there are of you, then we must be in the right. That whole thing is crazy. Having said that, I still don't believe that anyone should be prevented from propagating their faith in my country or in any country in general, but in most Muslim countries this is not permitted, as you well point out. I think if you ask most Muslims in those countries, or a lot of Muslims even in the West, they will agree with that. No. We can propagate our faith outside, but it shouldn't be allowed in the Islamic world. Although there will be dissenting voices to this, and I'm sure there are plenty who will refute me on this. But as a general trend, I think that holds true. Now, that's really the only place that I actually agree with you. As far as the exclusivity of Mecca, there are plenty of religious and non-religious places on earth where certain people are not allowed. I love to visit India, and there are a large number of temples that are called restricted. Non-Hindus, non-caste Hindus are forbidden to enter. And the penalties in certain places like Rajasthan can be rather nasty if you violate them. But in most cases, if you just wander in unobtrusively or innocently, you'll just be asked to leave. The same thing happened to me in the seventh holiest mosque in the Islamic world in Kairouan in Tunisia. Me and my father wandered in, and we were simply politely asked to leave. Wasn't a big deal. So I don't think that barring non-Muslims from Mecca is any huge impediment to human rights. I don't see that as anything out of the ordinary in this world. And the whole thing can be rectified rather rapidly by a bit of paperwork, turning the whole thing into private property and telling the person who owns it that they have the right to allow and refuse entry to whoever they want. Now, where you and I part company is in your view of what constitutes mainstream Islam. Wahhabism is not mainstream Islam. In fact, the overwhelming majority of the world's Muslims resent the world for the power that the West has handed the Wahhabis, based on a desire to keep first other Europeans out, then the desire to keep communists out. The West has consistently supported this most repressive and conservative version of Islam. There's nothing wrong with being a conservative Muslim, but this is a type of repressive conservative Islam that flies in the face of so many disparate Muslim traditions that most people have absolutely no desire to live under that kind of thing, so it's not mainstream at all. Secondly, ask any Muslim you care to meet, and ask him how he or she sees how the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is run. Ask him or her what they think of the House of Saud. You might want to block your ears to the stream of invective that comes afterwards. Again, the Saudis are in many ways seen as a Western-imposed control mechanism placed on the world's oil fields, or at least a big chunk of them. It's not mainstream, not in the least, and I think that you know that. Thank you, Thunderfoot.